Hey, this is Rosie and welcome to Rosie Reacts. So today I'm going to be reacting to the IU universe explained by a Korean, Above the Time, Blueming, and You and I. Now, before I start, just want to say that I did realize after, because I rewatched the Above the Time and You and I music videos a little bit, that the date on with the time travel machine is December 31st, 2019, right? 2019, I think. So of course it's 2019. It can't be 2020. That date hasn't happened yet. Okay, I'm tired. So I do realize that, and that was also the date on the gift clip and the date on the calendar in Above the Time. So I get that that's probably the date that she was time traveling to in You and I. So got it now. Also, oh, there was one more thing. Also, that there's a lot of lyrics in Above the Time that coincide with the lyrics in You and I. So I did notice that upon rewatching as well, and you guys also mentioned it in the comments, and I thank you for that. Now I'm ready to jump into this. I do want to let you guys know though that I have created a Twitter account finally. If you are interested in following me, you can do that at Rosie Reacts. It's just my channel name. Hope to see you there, but if not, that's fine. Let's go ahead and jump into this. Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember now. And some of you guys mentioned in the comment section for You and I that this might not, that you don't necessarily agree with them including Blueming in this, that you guys don't feel that maybe it actually goes with the universe that IU was creating. So I'll listen to his reasons for including Blueming, and at the end I'll just say whether or not I agree with that or if it's plausible. Want to see what evidence he presents. Let's go.
IU is back with two new music videos, Above the Time and Blueming. The two new music videos are actually connected, of course, to each other, but also to another past video, IU's You and I. So in this Explained, we will be going through a total of 3 music videos at once, so get prepared for the ride. The timeline starts from 2011, and let's take a look at You and I first. Note that there are so many clocks around the house.
Yeah, it was a
also
lot of
take
clocks.
a close look at these pictures. A man that seems to be IU's grandpa seems to be sort of an inventor trying to make something. At the last frame, there's a picture of a boy as well. Then IU draws a circle towards a date, which is in December, and smiles at it. Suddenly, we can see a boy sleeping. Also, there's a complicated looking device that probably is a time dimension shifting machine. IU tries to wake the boy up with the goose's feather, but he won't budge. Then we finally get into the lyrics. We can see that IU is working on making a time machine, probably the one her grandfather tried to accomplish. Why is it a time machine? Well, the lyrics give us an answer. So now we know that IU is in love with someone. However, because of certain circumstances, like her being underage, the two cannot be together as of now. That's why she urges the person to wait, and that's the reason why she wants to make the time machine.
And that is what I was saying when I watched You and I. But I'm actually kind of surprised that that idea flew. You know what I mean? Like, because from what I've heard, Korea is a fairly conservative, like, society. Like, I'm pretty sure. So I'm surprised that a song about like an underage girl like wanting to be with someone older but not being able to be with someone older is, I don't know, became like a popular song. I don't know. It just seems like a weird like topic to like have like a big music company sign off on. Not that it's like a weird topic in itself, because it's a pretty common topic, but just a weird topic for a conservative society to enjoy as a hit song. You know what I mean? I don't know.
To go to the future. On the Fantasy Express, IU can see the future, the two becoming a couple. However, we are not sure that she actually has the ability to see the future because literally the train is named Fantasy.
Yep,
so there are possibilities that it's just her imagination.
That's
also, in IU's
well.
song called Last Fantasy, it starts with the lyric, "I had a good dream, which was more beautiful than any flower."
No, don't show me spoilers for songs I haven't heard yet.
Now remember this song because it's gonna appear again in the other MVs. Now IU draws a clock with the time 12:20 on the boy's wrist. If you compare it to the clock in the background of IU's dancing scene, which is set at 12:05-ish, she's trying to turn the time faster, just like she says.
I didn't notice that. Those are the little details that I didn't catch.
In 2011, when You and I was released, IU was only 19 years old. According to the lyrics, she was waiting to become an adult and probably felt attracted to someone who was already an adult. That's why she wants to travel to the future, because she simply can't wait.
Age?
Then she gets into the time machine and sets it to 2019, December 31st. But as the time machine activates, ironically, the boy finally wakes up.
Bad luck, that.
Finally, IU has traveled through time and leaves a message in the lyrics to call her name so that she can recognize him even in the future. And then the man naturally finds the clock drawn on his wrist. After that, we can see that the man has grown up and the watch is showing the same time IU has drawn in the past. So, time has passed and the man and IU have finally met in the future. Unfortunately, it seems like IU's pet goose didn't make it though. As the man is trying to leave the store, he looks back, and then they both recognize each other. Now that's how the You and I music video ends, but now we've literally traveled to 2019, almost December, and coincidentally IU has released her new song around this time. And actually the title is called Above the Time. So let's see how this new music video connects to You and I. The music video starts by showing a calendar that indicates it's December 31st, the D-Day, and the Korean title of the song is written on the left side of the screen, which would translate into outside of the time. But the song's official title is Above the Time. It makes you curious why IU chose to translate it in that way. Also, we can see the subtitle saying author IU. But this is actually a witty expression because 지은이, which means author in Korean, is IU's actual Korean name, Lee Ji-eun. Then we see the same guy.
That's actually pretty cool. That's like fate. It was destiny for IU to be an amazing lyricist, like songwriter, because her name literally means author. That's pretty cool.
Guy from You and I, Lee Hyun-woo, sitting on the rooftop with the goose with him. Apparently, the goose didn't make it through the time machine and stayed. Then we see
Does the goose
IU
have
in
any
a
meaning
somewhat
besides
surreal
that?
space, sitting in a paper boat made out of music sheets.
I love this song. Oh, and you guys mentioned to me as well that this song doesn't, like, both of these songs don't have like any English, which is very against like the trend to like include little bits of English in like music nowadays in Korea. That it's like more often than not there is at least some sprinkling of English in most of the songs. And you know, I didn't really realize that or notice it in the first listen or two, but then after I started really wanting to sing along to some of the parts of the songs, I was like, wait, there's none of the parts of the songs that I can actually sing along to except for and I was like, oh, okay, but it's still beautiful. I just wish that I knew some Korean because I would love to sing the song.
We can see from the clock that it's 5 minutes till midnight, the date IU and the boy are supposed to meet. We can observe that the setting is the same house from You and I because of the pictures, clocks, and trains. But something is different. The person in the picture has changed from IU to the boy. We can infer from the lyrics that the two look alike or are similar in some sort of way. But ironically, that factor makes their love hard to accomplish.
The two look alike or similar. The way when he says look alike, it's a little weird. Oh, that almost makes them seem like they're related, and I know that's not what they're going for because that would be really weird. But I don't know why he said look alike. That I don't know. I guess I get the similarity. Odd way to put it.
IU expresses her candid feelings that she wants to anchor into the boy, but in reality, he's like an island that she can never arrive to.
I also realized afterwards that that box is the same
We can
room.
now see that the boy is trying to make a time machine as well. And IU, which is trapped in another dimension, is looking into the house the boy is in. If you look closely to the house, it has the lyrics of this song above the time on it. It says, 나 잃어버렸던 널 되찾으러. I may have lost you, but I'm going to go find you again.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Also, the pictures show Fantasy Express, which is written on the train from You and I.
I did
and
not
plus, we
notice
see
that.
another picture of the shop they are supposed to meet in the future.
How do you know
Basically,
it's the shop,
IU
though? It's
has
so
the
blurry.
will to go through time and dimensions to meet the boy again.
This song is so good, though. It's so good.
Both IU and the boy want to meet each other. As we can see, the boy still has the mark 1220 IU has left on his wrist, but the time hasn't come yet. Through IU's lyrics, we can know that the two are in a hard situation to reunite. In order to meet, they need to meet outside of time's border. That would explain the title Above the Time, which means they need to transcend time. IU confesses that her outside wasn't bright even during the day. It felt like an endless night without her other half. She wondered if the boy felt the same, but there was no way to know, and thus her heart ached. Here, IU directly says she wants to escape together, where nobody, even time, cannot find them, towards freedom and happiness.
and that links to you and I. She was saying that he'll remember her or recognize her.
She also says that even if it's not at once, we can take baby steps and that she will recognize him, meaning she can try more. She tells him to wait a bit. This message is symbolized by the pouring water and feather being connected between dimensions. It's a sign of slow progress towards them breaking the limitations of time and space and reuniting. Also, if you remember in You and I, she asked the boy to call her name in fear that she might not
Take back summer. Leinenkugel Summer Shandy.
recognize him. But now, after 8 years has passed, she's saying that she will recognize him first, that she's ready and more enthusiastic.
Well, I didn't quite remember the lyrics accurately, but I've only read them like once or twice. But I remember there was a line about recognition.
Reiterating the chorus again, IU says they need to meet outside of the frame of time and forget about the past, meaning they need to break the shackles around them and try to transcend the limitations of reality. Then they'll be truly able to reunite and finally dance together. Right after she says that, the boy realizes it too and decides to go on a further step. Rather than just waiting for time to pass, he turns the needle to the time they promised to meet. And after the boy turns the needle, he is finally warped outside of the house, and suddenly the whole world starts to quake. Now remember this vibration because it continues in Blueming too. And finally they reunite in a new space, which is neither the space they were both trapped inside. This new space is a dimension where nobody but them exist, which is full of flowers and sunlight. IU at first is like, what took you so long? But then they start dancing merrily. IU keeps on repeating the word finally again and again in the lyrics.
Such a good
After
song.
all that waiting and dreams, she can finally call his name. This again is a total change from You and I's lyrics because she wanted the boy to call her name at then, but now she's ready to call the boy's name herself now. While they're having the time of their life in this new dimension, it seems like their time was either limited or a dream from the beginning because the clock that was drawn on the boy's wrist has now disappeared.
I did think that it was possibly part of her imagination because of just how different it was and how like fantasy-like it seemed.
IU says that they have come such a long way. Now it's finally time to write the first line of their story, and she's not afraid to do so. So IU decides to draw something on his hand as the first line of their story, which happens to be a blue rose. IU says that they have so much to talk about and that they look like the perfect match and similar, like the same person. Finally, the two are ready to meet each other for real, and the man decides to bring down a ladder to climb her up into his life. By reading the book with all of IU's lyrics on it, he is accepting her whole story until now and trying to understand it. IU had nothing but music around her until now, which did soothe her and kept her safe, but also as a career confined her. At the end, she finally escapes her lonely musical sail and climbs up the ladder to meet the boy. So that's it. That's the end of the above.
I agree with his basis up to this point now. Now we're gonna go into Blooming, it looks like. I just wanted to say what's on my mind before I lose train of thought. That as for the music sheets and all that stuff, because from what I know, IU didn't write You and I, but she wrote Above the Time. So I feel like maybe she was shifting focus away from like the premise of like the underage, like kind of star-crossed lovers type of love. That was more the focus in You and I, and maybe focusing it more on like your career, like because I use career as music, obviously. So in this case, it would be music for her, but maybe it could be any other type of career as well if you're interpreting it for yourself. Like keeping you away from being able to be in a relationship, maybe because you don't have any time for it. Your life is focused entirely around your career type of thing. Not even as a celebrity, you know, it would be hard for her. And no, especially in Korea, like from what I know, celebrities, it's hard for them to have relationships. Like I know, like for idols especially, but I don't think IU's really considered an idol anymore. So I don't know if she has stuff like that in her contract, or I'm a little still iffy on all that. It's really complicated. So I feel like, yeah, maybe she was trying to shift the focus away from like the underage type aspect of it and focus it more towards like something like your career or any other thing, like basically keeping you away from being able to be in a relationship that you want to be in, maybe. Like it never being like the right timing type of thing. And then the bookmark for me was like maybe because a bookmark is like to hold your place, you know, in the chapter that you're reading. So maybe, and him putting down the bookmark and making it into a ladder so that she can climb up and join him. Maybe it's like, let's start again where we left off, right? Or, you know, kind of like that. All right, let's go into his explanation of why he thinks Blooming goes into this as well.
Of the Time music video. But what happens to them next? Well, that story is shown in her next music video, Blooming. 뭐해라는 두 글자에 네가 보고 싶어 날 속맘에 담아 이모티콘 하나하나 속에 달라지는 내 미묘한 심리를 알까. So do you remember the shaking and vibration I told you about before? In both MVs, it's used as a sign that the two are getting closer and they're interacting. Being even more true to the lyrics, in this case, we could say that it represents the vibration of a text message, as IU goes downstairs to check the mailbox and finds a blue rose. Are you busy? Are you sleeping? Who are you with? I'm thinking of you. Inferring from her response in the lyrics, these are the text messages the person sent to her in the form of a blue rose. Now the situation has escalated. It seems like the dude is sending some text bombs to IU. And the lyrics, a secret flower garden of our own, kind of reminds you of a certain place, right? And plus, on the wall, you can see that she might have received a present as well.
Yeah.
흥미로운 이 작품의 지은이 That's me oh. 어쩜 이 관계의 클라이맥스 이 막으로 넘어가게 지금이 그 타이밍
You can see IU painting a blue rose for the dude. Then what does a blue rose stand for? According to the flower glossary, since these don't actually exist in nature, a blue rose often represents unattainableness. Many people also believe that they also represent inner feelings of love at first sight or impossible love. So that's what it means, and it totally makes sense now from what we've seen from the Above the Time music video. But now, even though it might still be hard to make this love possible, by giving back and forth blue roses, someday the love might be achieved. Also in the lyrics of this part, as I explained before, IU plays with the word 지은이, author, because her name is 지은이 too. This also follows in line with the Above the Time lyrics because she declared that she will be the one actively writing their new story from now on. Then she says this might be a good timing for Act 2 in this relationship. While Above the Time was just the first line of the story, you can see that their relationship has
Ads. So far, I'm gonna say, I think that it's plausible that Blueming could be tied in. I think, I feel like, yeah, like I said, it's plausible. There's like enough ties that if you want to read into those ties, it could make sense. Yeah, I think it could make sense. And I know that from what you guys have told me, IU does like to leave things up for interpretation so that people can make up their own interpretation of things. So I think it's perfectly fine to interpret Blueming as part of the universe from what I've seen and what he's said. I don't think that you have to. I think like you and I and Above the Time are definitely connected. And Blueming could be connected as well. I'm not saying that it is. But it's plausible. It makes sense with the blue rose representing unattainableness or impossible love. That does go with the theme that was in Above the Time and You and I. And she did draw a rose on the guy's hand. And then like those little things like the butterflies being framed in Above the Time. And then seeing some of the butterflies framed here in Blueming. The vibration. And there was something he just said. Oh yeah, how she said something about like the first lines of their story being written in the Above the Time, and then here is talking about Act 2. So there's enough things that I think you could make the connection.
Developed.
조금 장난스러운 나의 유행이 발성이 궁금해 그의 second green and blue 엄지 손가락으로 날 풍선을 띄워 금세 터질 것 같아 루비가 빠져 어지러워
Divided by the wall of impossible love, IU secretly disguises herself and delivers a present. The present is expressed as a playful metaphoric text, and she's curious how the dude will react to or decipher it. Well, the dude didn't take the joke as a joke, because he's demanding a clear answer and a phone call now. They start to bicker, throwing things at each other, but in the inside they're feeling all blue. Not as in blue, but love is blooming blue.
쓰게 없이 보낼 게 사랑인 것 같아 백만 송이 장미꽃을 나랑 피워볼래 꽃잎에 색은 우리만 가는 대로 칠해 시들 때도 예쁘게
Just as she feels true love and wants to go into the next step, IU checks the mailbox but finds nothing in it and becomes worried. But then she sees a bunch of blue flowers bloom and now feels optimistic.
위에 네모가는 bloom 언제
IU finally gets ready to go on a date. She changes clothes several times to look as best as she can. The two get closer and closer with the wall of impossible love in between by texting each other. The balloons are a metaphor for word balloons in text messages. You can see how many conversations they've had by the number of withered flowers on the ground. And at last, they confront each other and throw away their balloons. Which means they're throwing away the barrier of text, phones, impossibleness, and they're all gone. So now they can finally talk face to face. So finally, we've come to an end of this explained. To give you a whole summary of the storyline of all 3 songs, it's basically about forbidden love and trying to overcome it, expressed in time and dimension travel. In You and I, IU loves that guy, but they cannot love each other because she's not old enough. Plus, they're too similar to each other, and maybe the guy was another artist in reality. And that's why she wants to go to the future.
I think that might be a little bit of a stretch.
However, she travels too far, and in that process, she becomes trapped on a boat or train journeying her musical career or celebrity life, which was a barrier that made it hard for them to love. But now she shows that she's ready to leave that boat, which could be her musical career or whatever people think about her dating and loving and all, and just escape to that alternative dimension where nobody can find them. And currently, it seems like that love is blooming because they're secretly sending each other flowers and messages over the fence. And I think all 3 of these songs portray IU's personal journey from when she started her musical career at such a young age and couldn't really love someone wholeheartedly without having the efforts of crossing time and space. But now that the time has passed, and she can do whatever she wants, she is willing to make what was impossible possible, and we can now see it's slowly blooming.
Okay. I thought that was pretty well put together. I enjoyed it, and for the most part, I do agree. I'm still not like 100% convinced that Blueming is part of the universe, but I don't think it's an impossibility because there were quite a few ties that could be made, so it is plausible. Like saying Blueming is part of the universe, let's say that, then I think my bookmark thing could add a little bit to it if you're thinking about maybe they haven't met for a long time and their first correspondence is through like text messaging, and their love is blooming because they're remembering what it was like when they couldn't be together because of certain circumstances, you know, and now they're texting back and forth and they're going to meet for the first time, and the bookmark and above the time could be like, yeah, they're going to meet for the first time and pick up where they left off. So let's say if that was tied, that's how I would interpret all that together. But again, like I said, not 100%. You guys did say that Above the Time and You and I are the only things that have officially been linked together. So yeah. But kudos for DKDKTV. I like their explanation videos. They do a pretty good job. Are there like other IU videos that have explanations for them, like that need explanations for them? Make sure you let me know so that way I know to do those around the same time. You know what I mean? Like that I've put enough time so I can react to both of those videos while I'm recording and not feel dumb. Okay, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.